Have you ever wondered why some people seem to have money chasing them while others are always chasing money? Why some can sleep peacefully at night, knowing their income is growing, while others are wide awake, worrying about how to make ends meet? The difference is not in how hard they work, but in how smart they let money work for them. You see, money is not meant to control your life. It's meant to serve your life. But that only happens when you stop treating it like a master and start treating it like a tool that can be multiplied, a tool that can be directed, a tool that can buy not just things but time, peace, and freedom. Today, I want to remind you, you don't have to trade your whole life just to earn a living. You were born not just to work for money, but to learn how to make money work for you. And once you understand that, you stop living paycheck to paycheck and start building a life with purpose, with direction, and with vision. Because it's not about being rich, it's about being wise. It's about waking up every morning knowing your money is moving even when you're not. That's real power. And that's where your breakthrough begins. Let's talk about how to make that shift. Let's talk about how to make money work for you. And when you begin to educate yourself financially, you realize something powerful, that money is not just something you earn, it's something you can own. That's the shift that changes everything. Most people live their whole lives chasing income, but they never stop to ask themselves, is what I'm building today going to pay me back tomorrow? There's a big difference between earning money and owning something that earns money for you. And until you understand that, you'll always be stuck on the same hamster wheel, working harder, longer, but not getting ahead. Owning doesn't always mean buying a big business or a building. It means creating or acquiring something that generates income without needing your full-time presence. It could be stocks, a small online store, rental property, or even a digital product you made once that keeps selling. It means you start building things that pay you while you live your life. And when you make that shift, your time stops being trapped. Your value doesn't expire when you log out or clock out. We've been taught from a young age to go to school, get a job, work hard, and climb the ladder. But no one told us the ladder could be leaning against the wrong wall. We follow the system thinking that if we just worked hard enough, we'd eventually find security. But the truth is, jobs can disappear, companies can close, and economies can shift. And if your only source of income is tied to your job, then your life is one decision or crisis away from financial struggle. That's not freedom, that's dependency. But ownership gives you options, it gives you leverage. Imagine waking up on a Monday morning and knowing that your investments, your business, or your rental income is already covering your essentials. That your basic needs are taken care of, even if you decide not to work that day. That's not laziness, that's wisdom in motion. Because ownership is not about doing nothing. It's about giving yourself the space to choose what matters most. It's about building once and earning many times over. The richest people in the world don't sell their time, they sell solutions. They sell ideas. They build systems. While others are paid by the hour, they're paid by the impact. They own assets that continue to work, whether they're on vacation, asleep, or spending time with family. And here's what they've learned. Time is the most valuable thing you have, and the more you own, the more time you reclaim. Start small, but start with ownership in mind. If you're working a job today, that's okay. But don't stop there. Use that job to fuel your journey to ownership. Use your income to buy assets, not just liabilities. Buy stocks instead of the latest gadget. Start a side hustle instead of spending weekends on entertainment. Learn a skill you can monetize, not just a hobby that distracts you. Ownership begins with intentionality. You don't have to wait until you're rich to become an owner. Ownership is a mindset before it becomes a result. You can start with a few dollars invested every month. You can begin by creating something valuable and putting it out into the world. You can write, teach, design, rent, build, servant in time. That effort compounds into something bigger than you imagine. But it won't happen if you stay stuck in the cycle of only earning and spending. Because if all you do is earn money and spend it, you're just passing energy through your hands. But when you earn money and reinvest it into ownership, you create a future that works for you. You create something that lasts beyond the hours you put in. That's how you move from survival to stability and from stability to abundance. Many people think they need a huge amount of money to start owning. But the truth is, you just need the right mindset and consistent action. Ownership isn't about having millions. It's about building habits that multiply your money. It's about shifting your thinking from how much can I earn this month to what can I build that will pay me every month. That question alone can change the way you live, the way you plan, and the way you dream. And once you start owning, everything changes. You walk differently, you think long term, you stop being afraid of losing a job because you know you've created something no one can take away from you. You stop panicking over bills because you've built streams of income that don't dry up. You stop living in constant anxiety about the future because you've taken control of your present. Making money work for you is not about shortcuts or secrets. It's about structure, vision, and discipline. And it starts with this one decision. Stop only earning. Start owning. Because when you become an owner, you stop living paycheck to paycheck and you start living with purpose. And when you start owning instead of just earning, you'll come face to face with one of the most powerful forces in the financial world: compound interest. It doesn't shout, it doesn't move fast, but it works quietly and relentlessly in the background, turning small, consistent actions into massive results over time. This is how money truly begins to work for you, when it starts to multiply itself, even when you're no longer adding to it. Most people underestimate the power of compound interest because it doesn't give instant results. But those who understand it, respect it, and patiently use it eventually find themselves enjoying a level of financial peace that most only dream of. The secret is not in waiting for the right moment, but in starting now, no matter how small. You don't need to have a huge income to make this principle work. What you need is consistency. Because what matters is not how much you invest at the start, but how often you do it and how long you let it grow. Time is the most important ingredient in this equation. The earlier you begin, the more powerful the compounding effect becomes. It's like planting a seed and giving it time, sunlight, and water. At first, you see nothing, then slowly it sprouts. And one day, it becomes a tree that gives fruit season after season. Imagine your money as an employee. If you save it and invest it wisely, it goes out and works for you. Now, if the money it earns is also invested, those earnings start working too. Soon, you have an army of money growing day and night without needing your direct effort. That's the magic of compound interest. It rewards the patient, the disciplined, and the consistent. It does not care about hype or emotion. It only follows math. And the math says when you give money time and growth, it turns into freedom. But here's the danger: most people ignore it. They want fast results, quick wins, and overnight success. And because compound interest doesn't give that, they move on to things that glitter but don't grow. They chase trends instead of building wealth. They spend years working hard but never give their money the chance to work even harder. And in the end, they wonder why they're tired and still stuck. It's not because they didn't earn enough, it's because they didn't understand how money multiplies over time. The ones who get ahead financially aren't always the ones with the biggest income. They're the ones who respect time. They're the ones who say no to impulsive spending and yes to long term growth. They understand that every dollar they save and invest now could become 10, 20, or even 100 in the future. They don't look at what they're giving up today. They focus on what they're building tomorrow. That's vision. That's wisdom. And that's how compound interest becomes your silent partner in success. And you don't have to wait for perfect conditions to start. You can begin where you are with what you have. Maybe it's $50 a month, maybe it's less. What matters is that you start, that you commit, that you make it non negotiable. Because once you've made it a habit, it becomes a lifestyle. And once it's a lifestyle, your future starts changing, even if your present looks the same. The most powerful wealth is built not in one big leap, but in small, steady steps that never stop. Over time, you'll begin to notice something. While others are still stressing over making ends meet, your investments are quietly growing. While others are trading hours for money, your money is generating more money. While others are chasing new income, you're watching your old money continue to work. And this creates space in your life. Space to breathe, space to choose, space to live. It's not about how fast your money grows at the start, it's about how long you give it to grow. Think long term, and you'll experience the rewards that short term thinkers never will. The people who retire early, the ones who build wealth without burnout, they're not always doing something extraordinary. They're just doing the simple things consistently while everyone else is distracted. And the most powerful of those simple things is letting compound interest do its quiet, invisible work. Every time you choose to invest instead of spend, to wait instead of rush, to grow instead of gamble, you're putting compound interest to work. And the best part is it never complains, never sleeps, and never gets tired. It doesn't need motivation, it just needs time and discipline. And if you give it that, it will build something for you that your hard work alone never could. Once you begin letting compound interest work quietly in the background, the next realization naturally follows. You don't have to rely on just one stream of income to build a life of freedom. You can create multiple, and the most powerful streams often come from the skills you already have. The problem is most people overlook their own abilities. They think I'm just good at this without realizing that what comes naturally to them could actually be a solution for someone else. And people are always willing to pay for solutions. What if instead of just using your skills to earn a paycheck, you started using them to build income streams that continue flowing whether you're working or not? It starts with believing that your skills are valuable. Whether you're good at writing, organizing, teaching, designing, cooking, managing, speaking, editing, fixing things, or simply solving problems, there's a way to turn that into income. The internet has opened doors that generations before us never had. You can teach something online, you can sell digital products, you can build a brand around your knowledge. You can freelance, consult, coach, or create a product once that sells many times over. But it all starts with shifting from just being good at something to using it with intention. Some people are stuck not because they lack money, but because they haven't yet unlocked their earning potential. They've limited themselves to one paycheck, one employer, one job title without realizing they could build other streams on the side. Doesn't have to be overwhelming. Start with one, just one skill, one small project, one offer. And as it grows, let it become a new source of income that no boss controls, no schedule dictates, and no economy can completely take away. You don't need to quit your job to create a new stream of income. You just need to quit the mindset that says, this is all I can do. Because the moment you start believing that your skills can serve others, you'll see opportunities everywhere. You'll notice problems you can solve, people you can help, and markets you can enter. That's how streams begin on offer, one idea, one solution at a time. And when you treat your skills as seeds, you start planting instead of consuming. You stop wasting time and start investing it. You stop comparing and start creating. You stop waiting for permission and start giving value. That's where financial flow starts to happen. Because now, even if your main job slows down, your side streams continue to drip. And eventually, those drips become rivers. You don't need to be the best in the world at what you do. You just need to be valuable to the right people. You don't need 1 million followers. You need 10 loyal clients. You don't need a viral post. You need a consistent offer. The world doesn't always reward perfection, it rewards usefulness. If what you do can help someone save time, make money, feel better, learn faster, or solve a problem, they will pay for it. The beautiful part is, once you've created a skill-based income stream, it becomes easier to replicate. You learn the system, you build confidence, you realize that value creates income, not just effort. And with each new stream, you become more secure, not because you're earning more, but because you're no longer depending on just one source. You've multiplied your options. You've bought yourself breathing room. And it doesn't stop at just earning extra. These new streams can be built into assets. Turn your knowledge into a course, turn your designs into templates, turn your writing into a blog that earns ad revenue, turn your experience into coaching. The skill that once brought you income by the hour can now bring you income by the result, or better yet, passively. You work once, and it pays you many times. And that's how money truly begins to work for you. Not just through compound interest in your investments, but through compound effort in your creativity. One idea leads to another. One client brings more. One project opens doors. And soon, your calendar is no longer the limit your vision is. When you stop seeing your job as your only source, you stop living in fear of losing it. When you realize your skills can pay you in ways you never imagined, you stop underestimating your potential. And when you finally take the step to build income from those skills, you unlock a path that leads not just to more money, but to more freedom. And as you begin to build income streams from your skills, something changes deep within you. You stop depending on one paycheck, and more importantly, you start becoming more intentional with every single peso or dollar that comes your way. Because what's the use of earning more if you're still spending everything you earn? That's when the real discipline begins, when you understand that if you don't learn how to manage the money you have, you'll never be able to grow it into something bigger. It's not about how much you make. It's about how much you keep, how well you protect it, and where you decide to place it so that it multiplies instead of disappears. Money doesn't respect carelessness. It doesn't stay with those who only chase more of it, but lose it through bad habits. The truth is, the fastest way to become broke is to keep upgrading your lifestyle every time your income increases. You make more, but you spend more. You earn extra, but instead of saving or investing, you reward yourself immediately. And that cycle continues until you realize the money may have passed through your hands, but it never stayed. It never worked for you. It only served your wants, not your future. The ones who win long term are the ones who delay gratification. Not because they're depriving themselves, but because they see the bigger picture. They know that what they set aside today becomes their opportunity tomorrow. They don't spend to impress, they spend with intention. They don't upgrade to be seen, they upgrade only when it truly adds value. They live below their means, not because they have no ambition, but because they know that financial peace is louder than financial flexing. The world today is full of noise. Ads are everywhere. Social media constantly tells you to buy this, try that, upgrade now, treat yourself, you deserve it. And while there's nothing wrong with enjoying your money, it becomes dangerous when every emotion becomes a reason to swipe the card. Stress, shop, celebration, shop, boredom, shop. And over time, you're not in control of your money anymore. Your emotions are. But the moment you start budgeting with purpose, saving before spending, and tracking where your money goes, you take back control. You stop wondering where your income went because now you're telling every dollar where to go. You stop living on edge at the end of the month because you already planned at the start of the month. You no longer fear unexpected expenses because you've prepared for them. And in that preparation, there's confidence, there's stability. Managing your money is not about being strict, it's about being smart. You're not punishing yourself by saying no to unnecessary purchases. You're protecting your future. You're honoring your hard work. You're respecting your time. Every peso you don't waste is a peso you can invest, save, or use to build something bigger. And when you live with that kind of awareness, money stops being a source of stress. It becomes a tool you control, not a weight you carry. Even the simple habit of separating your needs from your wants can change your life. Needs keep you grounded: food, shelter, transport, basic clothing. Wants, on the other hand, are endless. The latest gadget, the trendiest clothes, the nicest car, the luxury vacation, they promise satisfaction, but they rarely deliver lasting fulfillment. And if you're not careful, they can quietly rob you of the chance to ever be financially free. Living below your means doesn't mean you're living a lesser life. It means you're choosing long-term peace over short-term pleasure. It means you're content with what you have while building what you want. It means you don't need validation from material things to feel successful because you know that true wealth is silent. It doesn't scream. It doesn't show off. It builds in the background while others are distracted. And when you practice this kind of financial discipline, something beautiful happens. You start seeing progress. You start saving faster. You see your investments grow. You realize you have a safety net. Emergencies don't shake you. You stop borrowing and you start building. And soon, you're not just earning money, you're managing it like someone who understands its true value. The people who create wealth are not always the ones with the biggest paychecks. They're the ones who respect their income, however small, and treat it as a seed. They're the ones who plan their spending, limit their liabilities, and stay consistent even when no one is watching. They're the ones who say, just because I can afford it doesn't mean I need it. And that kind of mindset doesn't just protect your money, it multiplies it. Because in the end, money flows to those who know how to hold it, protect it, and make it grow. And the discipline you practice today becomes the financial freedom you experience tomorrow. When you begin mastering the art of managing what you already have, you start to notice something shift not just in your finances, but in your mentality. You're no longer rushing to spend every cent. You're no longer anxious at the end of the month. You've trained your mind to pause, to plan, and to prioritize. And from that place of clarity, you're ready for the next level of money wisdom. Learning how to use what you save to build assets that bring income, not expenses, because keeping money is one thing, but growing it through ownership is where wealth begins to take root. The biggest mistake many people make is thinking that buying more things means they're progressing. But not everything you own is an asset. In fact, most of what people buy are liabilities. They look nice, they feel good at first, but they take money out of your pocket every month. Car payments, maintenance, gadgets that lose value the moment you open the box. An asset, on the other hand, is something that puts money back into your pocket over time. It doesn't just look good, it works for you. And when you shift your focus from buying more things to buying more assets, your entire financial path changes. This is the reason why some people can work for 20, 30, even 40 years and still end up broke. It's not because they didn't work hard, it's because they never bought anything that paid them back. Every raise went into lifestyle. Every bonus went into wants. And every opportunity to build an asset was traded for something that loses value with time. But when you study the habits of the financially wise, you'll see a pattern. They buy things that produce. They invest in things that grow. They don't just spend, they build. Building assets doesn't mean you need millions to begin. It means you need to start small, start smart, and stay consistent. It can be as simple as investing in a mutual fund, buying shares in a business, starting a side hustle that brings passive income, or even acquiring real estate slowly and carefully. What matters is that you begin with a mindset that your money should work just as hard as you do. That every peso you save can either be used to consume or to create. Even digital assets have power today. Content that earns royalties, digital products that sell while you sleep, a blog that brings ad revenue, or a skill-based course you create once and sell many times. These are assets in the new economy. And the beauty of it is they don't always require massive capital. Often they require creativity, discipline, and vision. But most people miss it because they're too focused on instant pleasure. They want results now. But wealth is not a sprint, it's a long, steady walk in the right direction. And building assets isn't just about money, it's about time. An asset saves you time in the future. It gives you options. It gives you breathing room. While others are stuck in a loop of working to spend and spending to feel better, you've quietly planted something that grows even when you're not looking. You've created a stream that doesn't depend on your energy, your presence, or your time forever. That's leverage. That's where freedom begins. Think about the people who seem calm in a crisis. The ones who aren't shaken by layoffs, inflation, or market shifts. It's not luck, it's preparation. It's years of putting their money into assets instead of appearances. And that's the key. Wealth hides in ownership. When you own something that generates value, you're not just surviving, you're creating security. You're creating stability that no paycheck alone can offer. And not every asset is financial. Some of the best ones start with your mind. Investing in learning a new skill is an asset. Growing your network is an asset. Taking time to understand a market, a trade, or a system, that's building a foundation that will serve you for years. Because knowledge is an asset too. And when you combine knowledge with discipline, your potential becomes unlimited. This is the reason why the rich get richer, not because they're lucky, but because they've trained themselves to turn every extra peso into a producer. They buy machines that work. They build systems that earn. They put money into vehicles that grow. And while others are trapped in the cycle of spending and starting over, They're moving steadily, quietly, and confidently toward wealth. Ownership builds confidence, not the loud, flashy kind, but the deep, quiet kind that lets you sleep well at night, knowing your money is moving even when you're resting. And when you stop thinking like a consumer and start thinking like a builder, you realize that every financial decision is a brick. You're either building a house of peace or a cage of stress. The choice is always yours. That's why asset building isn't just about strategy, it's about identity. It's choosing to see yourself as someone who creates, not just consumes, as someone who prepares, not just reacts, as someone who values freedom more than flexing. Because once you taste what it feels like to earn without trading time, to see your money produce without your presence, you'll never want to go back to living paycheck to paycheck. And when you finally begin to shift your mindset from consumption to ownership, you start seeing opportunities where others only see obstacles. You no longer wait for permission to grow, you find a way. Because once you've tasted what it means to own something that earns even when you sleep, the hunger to multiply it becomes a fire that doesn't go out. That's when you realize wealth isn't just built through work. It's built through decisions, small, wise, consistent decisions that involve where you place your time, your money, and your focus. And one of the wisest things you can ever do is to reinvest what you earn. Most people stop at making money. Few go beyond and ask, what should I do with what I made? That's the separation point. That's the line between those who remain stuck in cycles and those who ascend into financial freedom. Reinvestment is the mindset of builders. It means not just taking profit, but planting it back where it will grow. It means choosing long-term gain over temporary gratification. And it's not always glamorous. It often looks like patience. It looks like humility. It looks like saying no to things that shine so you can say yes to things that grow. People often wonder why some businesses flourish while others plateau. The answer is almost always the same: reinvestment. Those who win don't just spend what they earn, they strengthen what they have. They reinvest into learning, into tools, into systems that multiply their output. They don't treat profit as a finish line, they treat it as a seed. And every time that seed is planted back into the ground, it brings more fruit, more possibilities, more growth. It doesn't matter if you're running a business, freelancing, or growing investments, the principle remains the same. What you do with your first breakthrough determines if there will be another. And too many people celebrate a small win with a big expense. They get their first big payment and upgrade everything: wardrobe, gadgets, lifestyle. But if you reinvest that breakthrough instead of consuming it, you create the conditions for more. More opportunities, more tools, more returns. Even your skills need reinvestment because the world changes fast. What worked yesterday might not work tomorrow. So when you earn, don't just reward yourself, develop yourself. Learn a new tool. Take a better course. Hire a coach. Expand your thinking. That's how you stay relevant, valuable, and ahead. Because reinvestment isn't just about money, it's about growth. And growth is what separates those who remain average from those who ascend to the next level. The same applies to your investments. When you receive returns from something that worked: a dividend, a payout, a passive stream, you have a choice. You can spend it on something that fades, or you can feed it back into the system. The wealthy almost always choose the latter. Not because they don't enjoy their money, but because they understand its power when multiplied. They know that every peso reinvested carries the potential to become 2, 3, even 10. And over time, that snowballs into wealth that outlives effort. But reinvestment also requires restraint. It means saying no to things that look good but don't produce. It means protecting your gains from vanity. It means not getting distracted by what everyone else is doing and staying focused on what works for you. Because reinvestment is not loud. It doesn't scream for attention, it moves quietly, it compounds silently. And while others are trying to look rich, you're building the foundation that makes it real. One of the strongest signs of a wealth mindset is the ability to reinvest consistently even when it's tempting not to, especially when things are going well, because that's when most people relax. That's when they slow down and say, I've made it. But the ones who keep rising know that success isn't the end, it's the beginning. The higher you go, the wiser you must become. And reinvestment is wisdom in motion. It's choosing the uncomfortable now so you can live comfortably later. And it's not just about putting money back, it's also about putting energy, time, and vision into what matters most. Whether it's your business, your brand, your financial strategy, or your inner growth, what you feed will grow. What you neglect will fade. And if you keep pouring back into the things that matter, you won't just protect your momentum, you'll multiply it. Reinvestment is the art of building on what you already built. It's not about starting from scratch every time. It's about recognizing the value of your progress and fueling it forward. It's about understanding that a single peso, wisely placed, can open doors that working an extra 10 hours never could. And when you reinvest with strategy, with purpose, and with patience, your financial story stops being linear, it becomes exponential. The powerful thing about reinvestment is that it's never wasted. Even when things don't go as planned, the discipline it takes to reinvest shapes your character. It sharpens your focus. It forces you to think like a builder, not just a buyer. And that mindset is what sets you apart in a world that's constantly trying to sell you shortcuts. Because true wealth isn't found in flashes of income, it's found in the quiet, steady choice to plant again and again, even when no one else sees what you're building. And when you start planting again and again, not just with your money, but with your time, your energy, and your attention, something even more powerful begins to happen. You step into a rhythm of momentum. The things you used to chase start coming to you. Opportunities begin to align because what you consistently feed begins to multiply. But momentum alone is not enough. What keeps everything together, what protects the wealth you build is the structure you set around it. That's why protecting your system is just as important as creating it. You can't build something valuable and leave it exposed. If your money is going to work for you, you need boundaries, routines, and systems that make sure it stays working. You don't need to be wealthy to start protecting your money. In fact, the earlier you protect it, the more likely you are to build wealth. Because money doesn't just leak through big mistakes, it vanishes slowly through small habits, mindless spending, distractions, and lack of planning. You don't lose money in one day. You lose it one careless swipe at a time, one subscription you forgot to cancel, one impulse buy that gives no return. And if you don't have a structure to track and review, you'll always feel like you're working hard but getting nowhere. Wealth is not built through income alone, it's protected through intention. This is where most people fall. They know how to earn. Some even know how to save. But they don't have a system. They don't have a budget that reflects their goals. They don't automate what should be consistent. They don't review their expenses or audit their time. So even when money comes in, it goes out just as fast. Having no system is like having a leaking roof. You keep pouring water in the tank, but it keeps dripping out from the holes you refuse to fix. Until you become intentional, your progress will always be temporary. Systems aren't about control, they're about clarity. They tell your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. They turn chaos into calm. They help you measure, adjust, and grow. Whether it's a simple weekly review, a spending tracker, or an automated savings plan, having a structure gives you power. It keeps your emotions in check. It reminds you of your priorities. And over time, it gives you the freedom to live with less stress and more intention. And it doesn't stop at money. Protecting your system means protecting your mindset, your habits, your environment. If your friends only know how to spend, you will too. If your feeds only show luxury, your thoughts will crave it more than your goals. If your days are filled with noise and no reflection, you'll drown in distractions and call it productivity. That's why the strongest financial systems are always paired with boundaries. What you allow, what you focus on, what you say yes to, and what you say no to. Because sometimes the most powerful form of wealth is discipline. The kind that allows you to delay a purchase, say no to a trend, and stick to your plan even when it's hard. Discipline doesn't mean deprivation, it means devotion to a bigger vision. It means saying, I respect my future too much to sabotage it for a moment of pleasure. And when you live like that long enough, it stops feeling like sacrifice site becomes your standard. Every person who has sustained wealth over time has done it with a system, not by accident, not by luck, but by design. They know how much is coming in, they know where every peso is going. They have guardrails that prevent disaster and routines that encourage growth. They have ruleless simple ones that they follow with consistency. And those rules aren't rigid, they're wise. They exist not to limit their lives, but to protect the life they're building. Even in relationships, systems matter. Who you share money with, how you communicate about spending, how you decide together what matters most. Many homes fall not because of lack of love, but because of lack of financial order. A home without financial peace is always tense. A home with a plan becomes a partnership. And when you protect your system, you protect not just your money, but your peace, your relationships, your future. Your system doesn't need to be complicated. It just needs to work. A simple spreadsheet, a weekly review day, an envelope system, a banking structure with accounts for spending, saving, investing, and giving. The method doesn't matter as much as the consistency because money loves order. It grows in structure. It responds to clarity. And when your system is clear, your confidence grows with it. There will always be unexpected moments, emergencies, slow months, surprise expenses. But a strong system absorbs the shock. It keeps you from panic. It gives you options. It allows you to adapt instead of collapse. And that's the quiet power of protecting your system. While others are reacting, you're responding. While others are overwhelmed, you're prepared. What makes money work for you isn't just how much you earn or even how much you save. It's how well you protect what you've built. It's how committed you are to maintaining order, to staying aligned with your values, to saying no when it's hard and yes when it's right. When your money has a home, a purpose, and a path, it stops controlling you. You start leading it. And in that space, wealth begins to grow not just in your bank, but in your life. So many people spend their lives chasing money, running after paychecks, trying to keep up, only to find themselves exhausted, empty, and unsure of where it all went. But the truth is, the goal was never to chase money, it was to master it, to make money serve you, to shift from being a slave to your income to becoming the one in control. Because money, when managed with wisdom and intention, becomes a powerful tool. It gives you choices. It gives you space to breathe. It gives you the ability to build, to give, and to live life on your terms. Every step you take toward making money work for you is a step toward freedom. And freedom is the real wealth, not the cars, not the houses, not the status. It's waking up without panic. It's not having to say yes to things that drain you just because you need the paycheck. It's knowing that your future is not being left to chance, but being built brick by brick with discipline, with courage, and with vision. That's what happens when you earn with intention, when you save with a goal, when you invest with understanding, and when you protect what you've created. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be consistent. You don't have to do everything overnight. You just need to start. Start small if you must, but start smart. Start with awareness. Start with clarity and keep going even when it's slow, because slow progress is still progress. And the beauty of making money work for you is that it compounds every good decision, every wise habit, every moment of restraint, it all adds up. And one day, what used to feel impossible becomes your new normal. The world doesn't need more people who just want to look rich. The world needs more people who are financially strong from the inside out. People who live below their means, who save with purpose, who invest in things that matter, who protect their future with structure, and who understand that real power is in peace, not pressure. That's what you're becoming. That's what you're building. Not just a bigger bank account, but a bigger life. So, if no one has told you today, let this be your reminder. You have what it takes. You have the ability to turn things around. You have the power to make money, serve your values, not the other way around. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are right on time to rewrite your story. Let money be the tool, not the master. Let your future be bigger than your fears. And from this day forward, let every peso you earn carry a purpose that honors the life you were born to live. Because making money work for you isn't just a financial decision, it's an act of self respect, self leadership, and belief in who you're becoming.